Hello, everyone, and welcome to Racer TV's Behind the Bars. Today, this is episode number 5 from the 2014 Crawfordville, Indiana Ironman GNCC. I'm joined here today in the basement studio by Caleb Russell, the winningest bike rider of all time. Caleb, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, happy to be on. I'm a fan of good racing, and this 2014 Ironman race is one of the best ATV races I've ever seen in person. Luckily, I was able to be there, and I remember chasing these guys around the fields, just chomping at the bit, wanting to see a good battle, and it was a hell of a race, and I'll always remember it for sure.
Also joining us today, co-host Jared Bolton from his basement studio as well. Jared is the purveyor of all things GNCC, historian, and just has a really cool basement that he's able to broadcast from. Jared, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, yeah, thank you. 5 episodes of Behind the Bars, all 5 of them I've sat right here to try to show off what little bit of cool stuff I have behind me. And these have been so fun. Each episode just gets better and better. And it's kept me sane. I hadn't been out in the woods putting up arrows, but, this has at least kept my head on halfway straight.
Everybody note, Jared's got quite the helmet collection in the background there. So maybe at a later episode, we'll throw in some trivia as to exactly how many helmets are there or what some of those. I see some number 1 plates and some different number plates in the background there. So again, a major fan of the sport and also can bring some knowledge to the show for us later here today. But the stars of the show, these gentlemen right here, the winningest GNCC ATV racer of all time and 6-time GNCC ATV XC1 champion, Chris Borich, joining us today from Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Chris, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, no problem, guys. It looks like it's going to be a great episode, and look forward to letting you know how it went.
Well, I think Chris knows how it went, and he'll be a happy guy at the end of this one. But not to ruin anything, the guy that may not be as happy at the end of this particular show, coming to us today, not from his home of Rogers, Ohio, but from down in sunshiny Florida. It is the defending 2019 and 5-time GNCC champion, Walker Fowler.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, guys. And this was a good one to learn from, and I can't wait to watch it again because every time I watch it, it just fuels the fire that much more.
All right. Well, Walker having a little bit of technical difficulty there, but definitely sounds like he's excited to watch this, see how it all plays out, and bring in the this episode here with a lot of excitement, a lot of hype coming into it. And without any further ado, we'll roll right into it. As the show opens up here, keep in mind, folks, just setting the stage for this one, 1 point separating Chris Borich and Walker Fowler as they come into round 13, the final round of 2014. They battled back and forth all year long, just absolutely all over each other, each at different points of the season, having high points and some low points, but coming into this particular race, tied, a record crowd, record attendance, and just some phenomenal racing coming your way here for the next 30 minutes.
And it's crazy, it's crazy how we get to this point in the season. Chris has dominated the previous 5 years up until this point, and has been, just decimating the competition year after year, winning, over half of the races each season. And he starts out the beginning of this 2014 season winning 5 out of the first 6 races, has a little bit of a lull, and Walker catches fire and gets that momentum. And there's this swift change that happens, and it all adds up to this one final battle that they put themselves into right here.
So as you guys came into the day, obviously a lot on the line for both of you, Chris and Walker. What's going through your mind? Chris, we'll start with you. Coming into this, knowing everything that's on the line and everything's led up to it, where's your head at coming into this race?
Head was just basically just go out there and stick with him. I know he was setting a really good pace at the last couple of rounds, and I just knew I had to stay with him all day, not let him out of my sight. And that was my mindset going into it.
And Walker, same question to you. Where's your head at coming into this one with everything on the line and everything that's led up to it?
Definitely. I was on a really good win streak, winning 5 of the previous 6 races, and I just wanted to get away, no different than I do today. Getting away, getting some sort of gap, and having the ability to make a mistake. And today was definitely a good day to be able to make a mistake and have a gap. And I think we're going to find out real soon that wasn't an option.
So, and we got a visiting star from ATV Motocross, Adam Mcgill, with the early hole shot, obviously, back in those days, and still to this day, a great starter. Grabbed the hole shot, but Chad Weenan, the current ATV Motocross champ, coming out, trying his hand at his one and only ever GNCC, gets the lead early, and then right out into the motocross track. Walker, obviously, Chad being a teammate of yours, Chris, him being a training partner of yours, was it any additional dynamics to having Chad out there? The only one and only time you guys have ever raced against him in a GNCC?
Who goes first?
You can go first this time, Walker.
I was super salty.
Why is that?
Because I'm not allowed to race a motocross race if the championship is tight. And on this particular day, obviously we're in a deadlock tie. Technically, myself having the advantage, if we would both DNF, I actually win the race because I had one more win than Chris up to this point. But we line up and basically Chad gets the whole shot, and I'm like, wow, good to know that this isn't a two-way street. I can't run moto, but he can show up here and put a damper in things. But that wasn't the case. He let us both go. As soon as there was any kind of pressure applied, Chad was able to, kind of get out of the way, and he was just there to have fun. So I really do respect Chad, and he got his 3 minutes of fame.
And Chris, same question to you. Any additional dynamics or complications with Chad being out there?
No, not at all. I thought it was awesome for him to come over and do battle with us and actually be at the final round, knowing we were both tied for the championship right at the end there. And I knew I seen up front he was out in the lead, and I was like, uh-oh, I know he's a sprinter, he's good. And we did that one race with him out in I think like Vegas area. He was rolling, so I thought he was going to be a hard one to run with, but we ended up running him down and instead kind of let us by, and me and Walker did our own thing.
So about that, to both of you guys, that was kind of the mindset. I think I can tell you the rest of the XC1 class kind of had the hands-off approach at this race. I mean, with everything that was on the table going into it, was a little bit different for you guys because neither one of you were up front off the start, as we just saw there. Was a little bit different coming through the pack with people kind of almost just handing you positions because nobody wanted to be the one that was talked about for decades of the guy that screwed up a potential championship run.
I'll go first again. Definitely, it was definitely weird. Even Adam, a guy that doesn't want to give up a position for anything, he definitely moved over, gave us the spot, and I think I was 5 or 6, and I think Chris, you were like 7 or 8 right out of the gate, and I mean we went to the front within 4 or 5 minutes, 4 or 5 miles, but on camera it seems like more than that. But I mean it was instantaneous. We went to the front, and I know Adam latches on to us, but basically everyone definitely wanted that hands-on approach or hands-off approach, because who wants to be the guy, the stigma, the asterisk that maybe put a damper in this championship?
Yeah.
I feel like too, as a racer being in this position a few times, at two guys going for this championship at the final race and being tied and so close, I feel like in your guys' minds, like, it's only going to be, it's almost like you're the only two on the track anyways. There's other riders out there and other things, but it's not like you're so focused and so in tune with what's going on. Like, like nobody else is even going to bother you in the race. Like, it's just going to be you and Chris, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So when you guys come up this section here, you can see the leaves are on it. The morning obviously didn't run this. When you guys come up to something like that, being the first ones out there breaking the trail, how do you guys like to navigate that? Do you like to be the first one out there leading it, breaking the trail, or would you rather be the one following, looking for any opportunity to get around?
I like to be second. There's a bunch of loose stuff on the ground, sticks or whatever that could get wrapped up in your A-arm or the radiator. So I kind of like to be back the first lap or so, but yeah.
Chris, do you wanna add anything to that opening lap too? Just people getting out of the way. I know you wanted to say something there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was like you said, definitely weird racing coming up through. They were just parting way and letting us get to get to the front and, like I said, do our thing. So, like I said, Adam's really good racer. Tries to hold you off everywhere, and he just basically pulled over and latched onto us for a little bit and stayed right there.
So talking about that, we see here on screen, obviously, you guys have now hooked up. It's kind of a private battle there for 1 and 2. Walker, you have the lead at this point, and I remember reading the race report, that you had kind of led most of the affair. So really, honestly, this is kind of, as you guys talked about before, this is your two styles of racing coming together on this day. Walker, you like to get out front, you like to lead, you like to get away. Chris, you're the stalker, you like to sit there in that second place spot and watch for the race to kind of unfold and maybe find a person's weak spot or somewhere where you think you can make a pass. How crazy was it after, Chris, all your years of stalking, to kind of be able to put those skills really to the ultimate test on a day like today with so much on the line?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, like you said, right at the end there, we were able to just figure out, like you said, weaknesses and where he bobbles out a little bit, and we were able to capitalize. So it's always good. And like I said, I'm never really the one to be out front. I always like to be stalking and then find my line torn at the end there.
And then Walker, same question to you. Like you, this was kind of the emergence of your style of racing. Try and get out front, pull away, race by yourself. Did you learn anything from this one that you moved into your program going forward to kind of help you perfect that you'd be willing to share? Or what were your thoughts as you were out there trying to get away? And you had Chris, I know you'd said in the past, there's one rider you don't want behind you at the end of a race. It's Chris Borich. And every time you tried to sprint, you'd look back and he was still right there. Did it get frustrating throughout the day, or were you just kind of managing it as you went?
It was definitely frustrating. The 4 or 5 races prior to this round, I had gotten out, done my thing. Actually, I believe 4 or 3 or 4. Pretty big leads, doing my own thing. Pretty much just mopping house. Kind of similar to years after this and recent. Obviously, the races are quite a bit closer, but this was definitely a race that was frustrating because up to this point I had always a 30-second lead to a minute lead, and I felt like I was riding better than ever. And every time that I would let off the throttle, I could hear a Suzuki with a Yoshimura pipe just hot on the throttle, and I couldn't get away from him. And it was definitely kind of getting in my head, but I was trying like heck to just stay focused, stay on the trail, and maybe at one point he would make a mistake. That's all I was looking for, was one mistake. How can I get away? And that mistake never really happened. And so
as we're watching it, it looks like you guys are pretty much wheel to wheel the entire time. But as we all know, on a GNCC course, it's 12 miles long. You can't have a camera around every corner. Did you guys ever actually kind of start to separate in between these camera shots, or were you truly just wheel to wheel like that the entire time?
I'm not going to speak for Chris.
Yeah, I'd say we were wheel to wheel the whole time. If you'd kind of gap out just a smidge, I'd make sure I put my head down and close it back up in. Like you said, he's good at sprinting, and if I make one little bobble, he'd get away. So I made sure I was just, like you said, right on his tail the whole time.
Yeah, and I think right here on the camera shot, this is the midway point of the race. 2 laps done, 2 to go, and Chris is already trying to figure out the lines, setting me up between the hay bales. Basically where he wins the race. And as the broadcast said, I'm 21 years old. Chris is a 5-time champion, looking at 6. I've not won that many races up to this point. This is one of my breakthrough years, and man, the pressure. Like I thought I was trying to act cool, but I am sitting on eggshells right now, just trying everything I can to stay out front and be smooth and calm, and it's not working.
So you speak of the pressure there. Do you think that losing this championship ultimately helped you win your other ones?
Completely. If I win this championship, I lose 2015 because Chris doesn't go to a Yamaha, and I don't know what it feels like to be that close and lose. And Chris probably has more to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done if, like you said, if I would have lost. Like you said, probably wouldn't have went the Yamaha. Probably would have stayed on the Suzuki. But I thought there was a little bit better opportunities for me. Made the switch and just didn't work out for me. So we ended up, where we're at now.
And Caleb, you can probably relate to Walker's position there, right?
Yeah, I can for sure. It's once you lose that one, you remember the feeling, and it's kind of gut wrenching, and you don't want to ever have to go through that again. So it's super frustrating. But at this point in the race, I see Chris has always been the stalker and wants to be in second place. So with 2 laps to go, is this where you start to put the pressure on and want to make the move and try to lead the race, or are you still like comfortable where you're at and wanting to take it to the last lap?
No, I was pretty comfortable where I was at. Just like you said, just being stalking, just staying right there, just finding my marks, finding a good line, just making sure we get through the trail. Obviously, there's some mud spots on the track, and just tried to hit every line perfect.
Yeah, because it looks like you the last shot we had of you guys coming through the finish, it was you're putting the pressure on him, and you were looking a little bit more racy, or like you were on the attack instead of just kind of circulating and trying to bide your time and hope he makes a mistake. But yeah, it looks like you're like changed. Your attitude in the race has changed here, and you're really on the attack and putting the pressure on and trying to force him into making that mistake to give up the lead.
Yeah, I was actually trying to push him a little bit, like you said, try to make him do a mistake, and then I could get out front and try to get away. But he was pretty smart this whole race, just hitting his marks, hitting his lines, and doing what he needed to do.
Guys, one thing Jason Wygant kind of brought up there is this was kind of the overlap of something we don't get to see very often. Kind of a Chris, obviously the incumbent champion, 5 championships coming into this day. Walker, the steady climber that was kind of getting closer and closer each race and each year. I guess to each of you respectively, we'll start with you, Chris. Do you feel that this kind of clash of you two coming together was a result of Walker stepping it up, or did you kind of have, something in your program that caused you to fall off a little bit, that this kind of coming together this season and even this race? I mean, you guys were so evenly matched where it hadn't been that way in the past. What was it from your perspective that led to that?
Yeah, mid-season there, I guess, like you said, I don't remember the results too much, but I guess I had a hiccup in the middle, and then was trying to get regrouped again, and obviously Walker was flying and really putting the pressure and putting the speed down, and I was just trying everything that I could, and basically towards the end there, this last round here, I kind of went back to the basics of what I knew how to do and how to ride and how to train, and went back to all that, and it ended up working out for me.
And Walker, same question to you. Like, from your perspective, obviously in the seat you're sitting in now versus the seat you were sitting in then, do you feel like it was more you on the charge, or did Chris kind of leave a door open for you that allowed you to gain that momentum to kind of ultimately lead to what we're seeing on screen here, which is arguably the best ATV battle of all time?
Hey, Griff, can we pause the video real quick so we don't miss anything? Because this last lap is wild. There we go. All right, perfect. Because, the camera angles show it, but I swear this last lap, and Chris can attest to it. The whole race, Chris would kind of show me a wheel and kind of give it back. He definitely is the stalker. I want to be the leader, the sprinter. But man, this last lap is something special, and the cameras almost do it justice. But man, we had to have passed each other 20 times, and that's not an exaggeration. This last lap is so sick, and hats off to Chris, because he's such a good champion, and he's just such a determined athlete that this is definitely a special race. But yeah, to get back to the original question, which is what exactly? Because now I've rambled.
Was, as this race unfolds and we see you guys wheel to wheel battling in this race for a championship, tied in points, it kind of represents the peaks of your two careers coming together.
And the changing of the guard
Yeah.
as well.
Well, ultimately, well, not yet. Technically, this was Chris, maintaining the old guard. So Walker, from your perspective, did this all come about as a result of you really stepping up your game, or do you feel that Chris kind of gave you an opportunity through maybe a shortcoming in his program or his riding, or what led to this day from you being behind to being able to get up and battle, the two greatest at the time, toe to toe?
Two of the greatest to ever do it. Chris isn't far from done from not winning. So it was just so weird. It was a weird year for sure. We had them back to back. Chris had one at the Penton that year, round 8, and I had a DNF at round 9. So basically, call that a wash. And I had to be perfect after summer break, and I trained my butt off, and I felt like I worked really hard. And we come back after summer break, and I put the pieces together, and there were a few moments in 2014 that definitely changed racing, for Chris, for myself, for a lot of aspects. And we won't get into details, but there was definitely some stuff that happened that ultimately changed even how the
Okay. Chris, we saw that Callie was there with you, your daughter. Obviously,
courses are that. Oh, you're good.
Oh, he's back. You were cutting in out there a little bit, Walker, but we obviously, like you said, it was a lot of crazy events leading up to this, and I think that's honestly the $1 million question that everybody kind of wanted each of your takes on, was whether or not you felt that basically both of you guys, what led to this perfect storm of competition, you guys being at the exact same level. So I think good answers from both you guys.
Yeah, it was wild. Like, it was literally, like you said, the perfect storm. And just for a spectator turnout of all time, and one of the largest races attended as racing goes. So here we go. Here's the last lap, Chris.
And it's a shame this last lap's so good, and there can only be one
you
winner because these guys both deserve it at this point.
Oh, here we go. Heart rates are up. Not because
And I can tell you, like, obviously being out on the track, I didn't get to see this firsthand, but everybody I talked to that was at this race said they were literally like hordes of fans just running around the track trying to see you guys both at every possible location. I mean, the tension, the hype, it was palpable. I mean, you could feel it all weekend, but it really came to a fever pitch this last lap. I mean, the fans were involved. You guys were just all out, trying to take things to a whole nother level. Again, how many times throughout the race or this last lap did you guys swap the lead?
I just about threw it away right there.
Yeah,
That's a TV guru there.
Yeah. So Chris, you had the lead here last lap. Walker, you're back in the second place position. Did you think at this point that was it? Did you think that was the move that finished it, Walker?
I was gonna do everything that I could to get back out front, whatever it took. And it's about to happen.
Same question to you, Chris. Did you feel like you had it at this point as you were looking back?
Yeah, I thought I did. I even forget where I got him that last time. Was able to move, and then right up here, slipped past me, and I lost the momentum right here. And he ended up gapping out on me here a little bit.
So right there, I mean, that's just, both of you guys are just pinned in the ruts, giving it everything. Like, do you look at each other at that point, or is it just you don't even want to make eye contact?
That was a wild pass. That was pure luck. I would never do that at any other race ever in my career, and it just felt right. You know how you have those moments where it's like, hey, this is your shot. That was it.
Can he dig deep and get him back? Such varied terrain here.
And at this point, Walker, you have a little bit of a gap.
That's as fast as they will go at any track all year long.
you got a little bit of a gap, but things are about to tighten back up here. You know, Walker, you almost look like you think you're in a good position, but then when we see you guys next, you know, things have tightened back up. Was it the same feeling for you? Like, I've got this. No, just kidding, I don't.
I really thought I had it. I had opened up maybe that 3-second window, and ended up there was lap traffic when we come out of this field section. We go down into the woods to Ironman, or to the Twin Hill section right before the motocross coming in to finish. And now Chris, you take over.
We
About
came
a
on
quarter
here for-
mile separating them from the checkered flag. Fowler has led about 98% of this race. Boric trying to dial in a line on the outside. Fans running to the fences, side by side. Boric gets a better line. It was smoother on the outside, but he's got the longer distance. Fowler's going to try to close him off. Fowler does. They collide. Boric on the gas comes out on top. I cannot believe this. 3 corners to go. Fowler is going to have to get really desperate now. The people are going crazy. Boric just pulled it out.
Heart rate's up right
What
now.
can Fowler do?
So, guys, as we walk through that, I mean, that so much happened in that short amount of time. Walker, you were just talking about the fact you had the lead in the field. Things tightened back up at the Twin Hills. Chris, you guys are wheel to wheel coming out in that moto track. You know, I think a lot of people forget it wasn't just one thing that happened out on that moto track. I mean, Walker, you know, you hit a little kicker, it looks like, allows Chris to get up next to you. Then, Chris, you double up and go to the outside of the corner, leaving it back open for Walker when you hit that chuck hole. So it's like it's all back up in the air again. I mean, how many times do each of you guys think you've got it and then you don't during that 30-second period? We'll start with you, Chris.
It was a couple. Like I said, the lap prior, I seen he made a mistake down in it didn't show there, but there was like a kicker at the bottom in the moto, and lap before he kind of came in hot and it kind of kicked him, and I was like, all right, if I know I'm on him, I could pressure him right there and it's going to do the same thing, and I would go to the outside, and it worked. He got kicked up. We were kind of side by side up through there, and then I slid into that corner and hit that chuck hole, and I thought I just about threw it away there, and then basically he had like a half a wheel on me, kind of bombed up over that step up. I had the inside going into basically the fence by the hay bale. Like I said, kind of leaned on him a little bit and was able to sneak it through.
I feel like the way you guys were riding that last lap, I know when I get into like a heated battle, and when there's so much on the line, the pressure is so high, like your brain just kind of shuts off. You're not really thinking about anything. You're like just purely focused on going as fast as you can without falling down. And it's like you just you lose sense of everything, and the sense of fear kind of goes out the window. You just hang it out.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you just let it all hang out. If you wad it up and hurt yourself, it is what it is. But we're giving it everything we had to be the first one across that finish line that day.
And Walker, same question to you. I mean, in that 20-some second span we just watched there, you know, you guys swapped paint very respectfully with what was on the line, and ultimately, if you really watch that, you know, and break it down, you guys were essentially tied going to that hay bale. And it really came down to Chris having the inside. So, you know, in your head, how many times in that 20, 30 seconds did you think you had it and then lost it? And what were the emotions like going on in your helmet?
So we we come up the Twin Hills, and I'm in the lead, and we had caught lap traffic, and I had that 2 or 3 second advantage, and I was like, that's what I need to be able to make a mistake in those last couple corners, and I lost it all coming onto the motocross track. And obviously Chris Boric dogging you in his best environment is the worst place for anyone to be ever, no matter today, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That is classic Chris Boric. And you know, even like I said, to this day, that's the last guy I want behind that big. See, if you bombed it, you were about to die. So I felt like I cleaned it real good, and I stayed in the middle of the track, and we come up kind of to that upper roller, and I really felt like same thing. I'm just holding the middle of the track, kind of floating inside, outside, whatever I need to do. And I wish we had radio on that this lap because he saw it the lap prior. I wish he'd have told me because that would have been really cool. But like I said, on the video, you can kind of see me. I get kicked. I come sideways. I go towards the fence. I save it, but now I'm on the inside, which was designed to be a triple up into the inside of the motocross thing. And I worked the best I could. I got the best run that I could out of the inside, and I kind of saw Chris make a mistake, and I just told myself, I was like, you have to get over this step up. You got to clean it. You got to get over it. He's going to case it. That's your only shot. And if you watch the video, I do get all the way to the top, and Chris stays low, but I still skipped off the top, and that allowed him to, I needed that half a bike to try to put him into the hay bale on the inside. And we come into that next hay bale side by side, and I was like, I'm a berm. I am being used at this point, and I am so screwed.
I remember standing there watching. I was really close to that jump right there, and I was like, man, they're gonna lock wheels, and it's just gonna be
true.
And I thought for sure when I seen what was going on, like you guys are side by side over that jump, I was just waiting to see quads flipping after that. So that didn't happen. That didn't come to fruition. But the only thing I was really mad about that race is I didn't have my Specialized Levo at the time. They weren't out yet. So
yeah, true.
I was running around.
Definitely. And then Chris, I can remember the text after the race, and it says, you owe me like $700. You remember that?
Yeah, I drove up on my tire and ripped my fender out. They're expensive.
Ripped your fender out. I bent your Yosh pipe. I ripped your custom grab bar number plate off. And something else, but it was for the show. And I mean, if I still owe you, I owe you. But it was perfect. We lock wheels. We give each other a hug. I told you that you're one of the greats, and that was a blast. And I did tell you that I really appreciated you for racing me the way you did, and I still feel that way today. We don't always see eye to eye, and we have our moments, but you are a true champion and one of the greatest of all time. And that's a day that I will never forget. That was literally probably the coolest day. That's almost better than winning any of my championships, is being around that many people and getting beat by one of the best on that day.
And the lessons learned too, I think are pretty invaluable as well.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, like you said, all the people, and it's been great. Like you said, racing with you as well. Been giving it to us a little lately, but it's been good battles, and it's always, like you said, you're a good champ now and took over my spot, but I'm going to try to chomp at the bit and get that back.
I fully expect you to be up there. And like I said, we're far from done winning races. And for anybody watching, collectively, I'm trying to do the quick math in my head, but between the two of us, I think we've racked up almost 130 GNCC.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. Yeah.
Look, when you add him in,
so I mean, that's just
200.
Yeah,
so 200.
There's 11 titles, so there's 18 titles on screen right now, and then 130 plus your 60, 190. Don't forget my one. So 100. Go call it 191.
Yeah, 191 wins.
What blows me away with the ATV side of things, and if you look at the list of champions on the GNCC results archive, there's in the last like 20 years, there's only been 3 champions. It's or over 20 years, I think. Yeah. So it's 11. It's crazy. 20. It was Barry, then Bill, and then Chris, now Walker, and it's like the guy figures out how to do it, and he just becomes unbeatable in ATV racing. It seems like it's pretty crazy to see and pretty crazy to witness.
And for those of you at home, Griff Cotter just did the math. 75 wins for Chris Borich, 54 for Walker Fowler, 129 wins between the two of them. This guy over here has 63. So a lot of wins between these 3 guys right here. 3 guys at or near the top, 2 at the very top of their respective categories, and both still working on getting that done. So 195 total wins on screen at the moment, nearly 200. I'm going to need you guys to step up your game because I can't keep carrying this. If we're going to get to 200, Caleb, Walker, Chris, you guys are going to have to start helping me out here.
It's actually
Our
100.
backs are hurting, Johnny.
Oh, 196. He didn't add mine in there. 196, he just said. Oh.
9. All right, I've won 3. Did anyone hear that?
Yeah, Walker was cutting out there. What's that?
Oh, I said I've won 3 this year, and my total is actually 50.
57.
Oh, 57. Oh, okay. So Griff's gonna have to redo the math a lot. That's how many wins are on the
57,
screen.
So we're 205 or something.
199. One more to go. I'll help you guys out. I'll get this one when we come back racing. Here's a great idea. You guys just don't show up to the next race and talk to all the other XC1 and XC2 and maybe some A guys if I'm slow enough. And maybe then I could snag another one and help out. But so to that point, obviously a lot of wins going on right now. Nobody's done any winning the last couple weeks. Chris, we're on you here right now. What's been keeping you busy? What have you been into these last couple weeks with our unscheduled, some might say unwanted break from GNCC racing? What's going on in the world for Chris Borch?
Not too much. I mean, just doing the same, trying to work on bikes, been riding as much as possible. Just kind of chomping at the bit, just staying busy with not knowing when we're going to be back racing. So got to keep ourselves sharp, and obviously spending a lot of time with my daughter and wife now. So it's been great watching her grow up and being around her, and it's a lot of fun. So.
Well, very cool. I'm sure a lot to keep you busy chasing her around now that she's quite a bit more mobile than she was just a few months ago. So
yeah.
That'll be your new training program. Chase the toddler.
Yeah.
Walker Fowler, again, down in Florida, staying warm. You told us earlier you were riding in some 95-degree temperatures today. So what takes up your days during quarantine and during this time away from GNCC, hopefully for a short amount of time still?
Yeah, just like Chris said, just trying to stay sharp, trying to stay fit, and being ready whenever that we get the green light. Been doing
We'll hope Walker comes
a lot in the opportunity to do in my life. Oh, is it not
there you go.
going?
You're good.
All right. Got my original Rhino 700 running again and getting ready for sale. I rebuilt a boat, so it's getting ready to go to the water. Just a bunch of junk, and obviously riding and training is as hard or harder than ever. So just trying.
Well, filling your days and lots of projects and keeping on task for when we do go back racing. Jared Bolton in Morgantown, West Virginia. We know what's keeping you busy, and anything else you want to add before we put the wraps on this one?
Yeah, well, I've been staying busy keeping this show going. You know, obviously we got Griff Cotter and Dan Reinhardt. They're the real behind the scenes guys that actually make the hard part of this happen, put this all together. But I've been trying to work with Tim Cotter there a little bit, get all you guys lined up to do this. That's ate up so much more time than I thought it would. And man, I actually finally got to go ride last weekend, so that felt nice. And I'm not any better than I ever was. I'm actually worse. Learning that, you guys all have GNCC wins, and I got a big fat goose egg over here. So, but I think this show was great, and I just wanted to add in there that this was actually at that time that was the closest championship battle since you got to go all the way back to 1993 with Barry Hawk and the great Bob Sloan coming down to the wire there. And funny story about that I've actually picked up from Barry was Barry thought he had it wrapped up a whole race early. Rita actually pulled him to the side and said, "Hey, you got it wrapped up. It's done. The championship's yours." And then he came back the next day to sign up to race a bike. And she goes, "Hey, wait, I'm sorry. We miscalculated. You got to go one more race before we wrap it up." So at least that didn't happen to you guys. At least you knew going into it that this was it. You didn't have any false hopes there. So great episode.
Yeah, that would be frustrating for sure. And obviously, as the behind the bars evolves and GNCC obviously showing its evolution throughout the years from 1993. And this was such a great moment in not only ATV history and GNCC history, but racing history in general. I mean, it truly was, I think, one of the greatest racing events of all time, and just showed so much. And you guys, thanks so much for coming on today also, and also just kind of giving us your perspective on it. And man, thanks for the show you put on that day. Caleb, can't forget about you. What's keeping you busy here the last month since we've not been racing?
You and I have been hard at work, bud. I've been slaving them away.
Yeah,
it's been free labor for a little bit, but no, we've had a few weeks off. I've been building the track and got the new piece of land up here. I'm trying to get dialed in, but it's coming along. We're just staying busy, cycling and riding here and there, but normal stuff, just not racing.
So, and obviously, I think all of us, to all of you watching at home, I'll speak for everybody when I say we all want to see you and ourselves back at the track as soon as safely and humanly and logistically possible. So until that comes, continue watching these episodes of Behind the Bars. This is the closest you're going to get to actually having some racing action. And man, on a day like today, when I say today, I'm talking about a day in October in 2014. It really does kind of embody what we all do this for, moments like that. And on behalf of myself, on behalf of Walker Fowler, Chris Borich, Caleb Russell, Jared Bolton, Griff Cotter, Dan Reinhardt, and everybody else in the Racer TV studio and in the Racer offices that makes this happen, we definitely want to thank you guys for watching today, and want to tell you, don't go too far, because pretty soon we'll have another episode of Behind the Bars coming your way.